Hi everyone! Today we're doing the standardization of sodium hydroxide solution. First, we're going to make the KHP solution. So I have weighed out 9.019 grams of KHP into a 150 milliliter beaker. And I have already put the approximately 120 milliliters of DI water into this beaker. So I'm going to put it onto the hot plate to further dissolve the KHP. I'm using a stir rod to stir the solution. And I'm keeping the stir rod in the beaker so I don't lose any of my solution. It's almost dissolved. While I wait on that to dissolve, I'm going to start making the NaOH solution. So I'm going to dilute 40 milliliters of our stock solution in an 800 milliliter beaker. And then I'm going to fill up the rest of this to the 600 mark with DI water. Now that I have 600 milliliters of my solution, I'm going to use a stir rod to stir it really well.
For the next step, we're going to transfer the potassium hydrogen phthalate to the volumetric flask. We're going to use a small funnel to do this in order to make sure we accurately transfer all the material and not lose anything. Once the beaker we're transferring from is empty, we're going to give it a rinse along with the stirring rod with DI water, as well as the funnel. Then we'll bring the volume of the volumetric flask up to the designated line. And the line can kind of be seen right there where her finger was. Right. And it's important to be as accurate as possible whenever you do this, because this is a volumetric flask, it's extremely precise. So we'll bring it up very close to the line and then use a pipette dropper to bring the water level to the line. Measuring from the bottom of the meniscus, the solution level is now at the appropriate line for a 250 milliliter volumetric flask. For the next step, we're going to do the titration of the potassium hydrogen phthalate. We're going to use the burette for this. First, we're going to rinse the burette with two 5 milliliter aliquots of sodium hydroxide. Now we are filling the burette with the sodium hydroxide solution. since it has been rinsed. Now that it's full, we're going to open the stopcock and let it free flow for just a few seconds in order to make sure there's no air bubbles left in the tip. Now that we've done that, we'll go ahead and document our initial volume reading, which can be seen here.
7.4.
And we'll write this down as 7.40 milliliters. Next, we'll take a 20 milliliter volumetric pipette and rinse it with our potassium hydrogen phthalate solution. Hold on. Now we'll use the volumetric pipette to transfer 20 milliliters of potassium hydrogen phthalate to this Erlenmeyer. Now that the 20 milliliters has been transferred to the Erlenmeyer flask, we will place this under the burette and titrate until the indicator shows So as you see, the indicator here is a very light pink color. Final volume reading for the first titration was 20.5 milliliters. Now Amy will transfer another 20 milliliters of potassium hydrogen phthalate solution to the Erlenmeyer and we'll titrate again. The starting volume for the second titration is the same as the final volume from the first titration. So our initial volume for this one is 20.5 milliliters, and then our final volume is 33.81 milliliters. Remember, the volume on the burette works backwards. So at the bottom you start with 50 and the top is 0. And the initial volume for the third titration is 0.81 milliliters. Again, we'll use the volumetric pipette to transfer precisely 20 milliliters into the Erlenmeyer and then titrate using the sodium hydroxide in the burette. For the third titration, the final volume is 13.90 milliliters. This will also be the initial volume for the fourth titration, 13.90 milliliters. We'll empty the Erlenmeyer, give it a rinse with DI water, and perform the final titration. The final volume of the burette for fourth titration is 26.90 milliliters. The differences of the final and initial volumes tell you how many milliliters you used for titrating. We did 4 trials total. We did 4 titrations total, trial 1 and trial 2, representative of you and your lab partner. Trial 1A, 13.10 milliliters. Trial 2A, 13.31 milliliters. Trial 1B, or your partner, 13.09 milliliters. And trial 2B, your partner, 13.00 milliliters. Here Amy is filling an Erlenmeyer flask with our standardized sodium hydroxide solution. We'll cover this and label it with our names and use it in further experiments.